Right. My message to coaches about wicket keeping, first and foremost, is understand them. All right. But just because you don't know the finer details of wicket keeping doesn't mean that you don't take an interest in it. Too many of our keepers are growing up learning from watching, which is obviously one of the most important ways of learning skill development and learning how to do things, but we're not getting that support growing up from our coaches. It doesn't take much for a coach to understand what his keeper's doing, what they're trying to achieve out of it, and how their performance has been. So often it needs just as simple as a pat on the back or a kind word to let them know that they're a part of the team and that you're taking interest in their particular skill area, their skill set. In essence, keeping should be one of the easiest skills in the game. All we've got to do is catch the ball. Right? But it takes a lot of hard work to get into a position where you're consistently catching the ball well every time. It's often a thankless task, and often as keepers we get criticised for the ones we miss rather than the ones we take. It's the expectation that we take every ball, and as keepers that's our aim. We set out to achieve that. Generally in your team your keepers should be preparing well. More times than not they should be the hardest working person in your group because they strive for that excellence that we demand from them. Take that interest, all right? Understand what they're trying to achieve, work with them, talk with them, get the best out of them. All right? When keeping over the top, again, this is a very challenging part of the game, and it's a part that we need to be putting the time into with our young keepers. Develop some drills for them. This is an area as a coach we can work very closely with them on. Very simply, we just want to be catching the ball with our head over it every time. All right? Wherever we are, we want to be over the top of it. Real simple. All right? And some of the things here are my personal beliefs. People differ, but essentially the message should be the same across the board. You know, this leg, more times than not, we've got a right-handed batting. Often will be anchored. From there, I can go across, I can take a ball, and I can always bring it back to the stumps. I can always keep my head over the ball here, all right, wherever it may be. Very, very occasionally, you get a real wide one. Chances are it's going to get whacked for 4, or should be getting whacked for 4 anyway. But we've got to be prepared to take it. All right. So in this situation, my right leg can go out from there. Some keepers take it straight across. Others like to take it slightly back. Again, it's a personal preference. All right, but when I say take it slightly back, I'm not suggesting we're going all that way. I'm just suggesting opening up slightly, if need be, to allow for any spin or nicks that might come our way. But again, the key message there is where our head is. Now we can put our keepers through these very basic drills, and so often we're throwing balls at them without an obstacle there, and chances are the keeper's going to glove 99 out of 100, which is good for working on some very core basic movements, you know, watching the ball in, feeling the ball in the gloves, but are we really challenging them, or are they challenging themselves? So in keeping we work on absolute basics, we work on the basics, and then we develop and challenge from there. So at that point, when you or your keeper feels like they've got a good rhythm, technically they're good, nice comfortable crouch, they're getting across, not coming up too quick, watching the ball, let's start challenging them. So we've got to challenge the eye, and this is a really unique thing for a lot of people because they don't understand keeping. But when a batsman comes down the wicket, we're trying to watch the ball, but there's all this distraction going on in front of us. And that can distract our eye. And sometimes that's hard to stay focused on watching the ball when all this mess, this movement going on in front of us. So we have to practice watching the ball when there's distractions around. Simple way of doing that is getting a batter there playing and missing. All right? Becomes a little bit mundane, or not mundane, but routine-like. We know they're missing it every time. We're expecting them to miss it every time. So we can compensate in our mind and we can get through that quite comfortably. Another good way to challenge our eye is to put some markers down. Now you often see keepers do this, but what we'll try and do, put some markers, a variety of markers out in front of us. Always get, when you've got something like that, a distraction, always get your keepers to put full protection on because they can hit those and kick. Last thing we want to do is hurt someone. But what that does there is I can get set here, the ball gets thrown, all of a sudden my mind starts calculating whether I think it's going to hit a cone or not. Naturally, if I think it's going to hit a cone, I stop watching it and I pull back off it. Whereas in fact we want to be training ourselves to watch it even harder. All right? That's the focus. Everything else around it is not relevant. but it's hard to practice that, and it's hard to put that into a game sense scenario. So more of a distraction, the more you can challenge the player's eye and they can get through that and watch the ball, they're going to be a little bit mentally stronger and tougher for when they're keeping out in the fixture. You can put anything down there, chairs, cones, a couple of stumps, you know, bags, other gloves, whatever it may be. It's not a bad drill. And then from there you can go into playing and missing again. And again, the person throwing is the key. All right? If I come and throw from halfway down the wicket, that's really quite easy for me to glove because the distance I have to track the ball is quite short. So I make that calculation a lot quicker, a lot easier. As soon as I take it back to the length of a wicket, which is more game sense, bang, I've got to track that ball a lot further, I've got to watch it harder, and I've got to see where it's bouncing. Even better, naturally enough, is to work with your spinner. I don't think we do enough of that. I don't think our keepers over the stumps work close enough with their spinners, just getting to know their variations and helping the spinner develop his game as well. The combination between a keeper and a spinner is crucial. So again, the more match-like scenarios we can implement, the better off we're going to be. Don't forget to work down leg side as well. Okay, hard one to do without a shadow batter or some form of obstacle there. All right, key to that one, get yourself set, get your thrower or your bowler to drift a couple down leg side for you, and the key is that you want to be moving late. I can sit here, I'm going to watch the ball, and I'm going to pick up all that information about the ball as I can, as much information as I can from the moment it leaves the bowler's hand until I lose sight of it. The moment that I've lost sight of that ball, that's when I'm going. I should have picked up enough information to work out how far I've got to go and get my timing right so that I'm in perfect position to glove it here and go. When I go across, I go fast and I lead with my head. Get across, and it's a timing drill and it needs a lot of work. So again, when doing this, try and work off a full length of a wicket because it is timing. You've got to know when to cut down leg side and when to take the ball. There is of course variations to my theory about going down leg. Some keepers actually, they think it's going down leg, they sort of hedge their bets a little bit, get that one out there, still watching, still watching, still watching. The moment it goes past the batsman or we're blinded, bang, we're in position and gone. Play around with it. One thing with keepers, whether you're standing back or standing up, is keep your way. Don't get them too robotic, mechanical. Let them catch the ball. All right? Let's develop natural keepers rather than manufactured keepers. Keeping back to the quicks, obviously big part of our game. I mean, most teams go in with 3 quicks, maybe an all-rounder and 1 or 2 spinners. So we have to get this part of our game absolutely spot on as well, because really, probably where we spend a lot of our time, except late in games where spinners come into their own, which is a unique skill set that we need to develop as well. Standing back's pretty simple. We just need really good, strong lateral movement and explosive lateral movement. All right. Whilst we need to be strong through our core, our legs, our backside, we need to be incredibly strong through there, but we need to be quick. We need to have that explosive movement. So we need to be getting ourselves into good position. Why we want to get into good position is we've got to get our head in line with the ball. Every time we catch the ball, we want to be head over the top of it. It makes sense. It goes everything about the ball. Cricket is about the ball. Our catching in the field, our ground fielding, everything we do, we have to be getting our head over the ball. So that's why we have to work really hard on our footwork. All right? Very simple. You know, it's just a matter of skipping across side to side. Some players, some keepers might want to work behind them, but often it's just a matter of replacing your feet as you go across. And to be able to do that efficiently, we have to be in a really strong position here. All right? This is where we find a lot of young keepers, it takes a little while to develop and understand this power position. Same as in the field. Let's try and get people into this power position. When we're wicket keeping, let's get into this power position here. All right, that's our strongest way to move anywhere. All right, and when we move, our head doesn't bob up and down. We're not going across like that. We're there. We're controlling our movement side to side, getting in line and tracking the ball, catching the ball. Challenge we have is when we let our keepers do their own little thing. Often they do their movement, but again, they're not challenging themselves. the balls are hit either straight to them, and they're happy catching it because that's in the comfort zone. Let's try and get them out of their comfort zone, hit it a little bit wider, throw it a little bit wider, so they have to work their feet that little bit more. That will put them in good stead in a game situation. Ball goes down leg, clips a bit of pad, you've got to go further, whatever it may be. So much of our game is about getting the basics right. Get our basic lateral movement patterns right, basic watching the ball into the gloves. Then if something from there happens that isn't expected, a big nick, whatever it may be, we are then in a position to react to it. This is our best position to react to anything. All right? If we're out of position or our technique isn't quite right, then we will be found out when a nick comes. You know, we might be too high, can't get down to it. Or we're out of position and we have to go that little bit further. We're not watching, we're not expecting. Lateral movement patterns, get them right, get them strong, work really hard on that. 80% about the basics, 20% about having some fun. We do need those reaction skills. It's a big part of our game. Taking the catch between keeper and first, diving down leg, saving some leg byes, whatever it may be. So again, these are elements we need to practice, but we get it after we've done our basic stuff. Practice diving, throwing yourself around.